What is going on, guys? We are back playing some more Surviving with Thermal Expansion. And today, guys, we are going to be messing around with the Reactant Dynamo, which is a little bit more late game than most of the dynamos that we've messed around with thus far. Obviously, one of the more recent ones was the Numismatic Dynamo that is running down there right now, burning through a bunch of coins to get us some power. But this one actually wasn't that difficult to set up, and obviously if we didn't actually make the iron golem farm and just stuck with sticking regular iron ingots into it, it would have been very easy. So I would consider the Reactant Dynamo to be one of the more late game dynamos that's offered, and it has the ability to actually be the most late game depending on what reactants you put into it and what you're looking to get out of it. So, the dynamo itself is not complicated. As you guys probably know, dynamos are never the hard part. Getting the stuff to put into them is the difficult part. And in this case, there's two different things that need to go in. You need to have a liquid fuel source and a solid fuel source. And of course, then those get combined, they react, and then you get power. Every operation is going to consume one solid fuel source and 100 millibuckets of the liquid fuel source, and it's going to give you anywhere from 80,000 RF to 400,000 RF for consuming those two things, assuming that you don't have any fuel catalyzer augments on it, but we're going to go over that a little bit later. Now we're going to do the crafting before I get into too much today about, how things work and all that. As you can see, it's really not that expensive to work with. It takes some electrum and whatnot, but this is taking into account the fact that we are going to be using a reinforced conversion kit, which of course will give us 2 augment slots. So we're going to be making 2 different augments to put in here. Obviously, you don't need to follow the same ones that I'm using, but I think they're the most convenient, to actually use, and they're going to give you the most bang for your buck. So let's grab all this stuff out of here. We're only going to be crafting, I think, really 2 blocks today. So the first one is going to be the Magma Crucible. Now I know we already have one of these, we made one very early on, but I want to have one that's sitting directly next to this because obviously I don't want to worry about completely emptying this every time I want to do something new or wasting any liquid that I just dump because I actually want to put something else in there. So it's definitely handy to have one of these kind of next to whatever you might use it with. So I've got one next to my fluid transposer, of course, for general use, and then I'll have one next to this. So we're going to make 2 copper gears for it, and then the machine frame is going to be the only other really big component that we have to craft, and then finish that, and we should be good to craft this then. Oh no, we're missing these. While I'm crafting this, I guess I could say that I know it's been a while since we've had a video, or specifically a Surviving with Thermal Expansion video. That is because I finally finished with finals. A lot of you guys decided to follow me on Twitter after I made a comment before saying that I kind of talk a lot on Twitter about my schedule and if I'm going to be busy and not recording. And so I tweeted out a couple days ago that I had only 2 exams left for final exams, and then it was summer break. So I am officially on summer break. I bet a lot of you, if you're college students, are either just about to be or you are on summer break already. So congratulations. If you still have some finals left and you're a college student, you can do it. I believe in you. Study hard. Not too hard though, but study hard. Stick your nose in the books and you'll get through it. And if you're a high school student or lower, you still got a little bit of time to go, but at least you don't have as rough finals as a college student. But that's enough of, the jabbering on about random stuff. So the last thing that we really need to make, other than the augment, is going to be the dynamo itself. So the Reactant Dynamo is going to be using the redstone transmission coil, and then a lead gear, and that's pretty much it. Really cheap dynamo to work with, nothing super fancy. So we've got that, and now the only thing left is to make the 2 augments, and I believe I remember the recipe for these. So the first one is going to be the it's the field limiter. Is that excitation field limiter? Yeah, I think that is. And then we are going to make, I believe this is the recipe for this one. No? Oh, you know what? Here's what it is. 100%, this is what it is. There we go. We've got the fuel catalyzer. So I'm going to discuss those a little bit in detail later. I'm sure if you're already looking at augments, you've probably got a good idea of what you want to work with. Most of the dynamo augments go across all dynamos, unless it's going to be more of a specialized augment or a really, really late game one, which there is one for this, the elemental catalyzer. We're not really going to cover that today because we're not going to be able to use it at all. But if you're going to do that, then you're probably more advanced than I am. So no worries. And then we've got 2 hoppers just for putting in, a bunch of stuff if we want to load it all up at once. So I think I'm going to put it right here because it'll fit pretty nicely in this sort of 3x3 area. It'll look a little bit wonky with how I set it up in terms of placing blocks around it and whatnot, but it should look good in the end. And then we are going to hopefully wire it under here and get this system up and running again, because we have stopped our generation of fluxed Phytogro, but this system could run infinitely. So I want to start filling it up again, and we need some power to do that, and I'm lazy, and I haven't moved this stuff from outside yet, so we're going to set it up over here, and it might look a little bit awkward. I might need to do a little bit of switching around with stuff in the house, but in the end, it should look okay. So we're going to put down the Magma Crucible right in front of the window here. And then we're going to put down the Reactant Dynamo on the bottom, and we're just kind of going to flip it around until it's essentially facing into the floor. I know that looks a little bit weird. It's not going to help when I start getting rid of this floor and wiring it under here. But yeah, that's just how it's going to be, because we're going to wire it over here, and I'm going to dig it down so that we can go completely under. And then it's just going to run up the back right here and connect in, and that's going to power our system. Now, this isn't going to be the power, for the whole time. But we're going to run it down here for now, just so that this system will run again and we can actually use this power for something. A lot of what I've noticed about my surviving with recently is initially I just went block by block. So, even if it was a short episode, I'd still do it. And then I kind of got deterred from that because it felt like I was kind of cheating you guys out of episodes and stuff with really simple things to work with like this. But people need to know how to use this. A lot of people don't understand, some of these blocks, even though they seem simple to others. And so I want to do videos on this, and then we'll keep the SevTech series as sort of the more talky long series, even though I'm talking a lot right now. But so what we're going to do is use the Magma Crucible, of course, to generate whatever, liquid fuel source we want to use. And I'll go over the couple that you can use in a little bit. But we're going to use that, and then we're going to dump whatever's coming in orange out the bottom. And then we're just going to get rid of all the other ones except one of the sides. And we're going to do, it doesn't really matter, but I'm just going to do this side over here. And I guess I could technically do the top, but it's going to look a little bit weird then when we have this down here. Have a hopper on this. So we're going to put a hopper on this for the solid reactant to go in. So I think it should go something like this. So like that. Whoops, I pushed that into the wall. It should go like that. And then what we can do is come over here and make it look a little bit nicer. Is grab these out and just kind of build around it. So it looks a little bit awkward, but I'm sure there's a way that I can figure out to make it look nicer. Maybe this would look nicer. It might actually look nicer if I just put it in at the top there and then filled that in. It still looks weird, but I'll figure it out in the end. There's not a great way for us to do it, since this has to kind of be on this. Eventually we could move this up and put that, somewhere else, and then this could have a pipe going down in the hopper. I don't know. We could do it differently, but I think this will suffice for now. So what we're going to do for the Magma Crucible is generate, like I said, the liquid reactant that's going in. Now, the different liquid reactants that you can use are going to be Destabilized Redstone, which is going to be the easiest to make, Energized Glowstone, then Blazing Pyrotheum, Gelid Cryothium, and then Zephyrian Aerothium, and Tectonic Petrothium. Now, that is the liquid fuel sources, and those liquid fuel sources have multiple pairings that they can be put with in terms of solid reactants. So, for the Destabilized Redstone and Energized Glowstone, they're going to have the same possible combinations, and this is going to be in order of how effective they are in terms of generating power. Sugar, netherwort, gunpowder, blaze powder, and a gas tier. So those can be used across the board. And it starts at 80,000 RF for Destabilized Redstone and Sugar, and goes all the way up to 150,000 RF for gas tiers. So sort of the more expensive, the more rare the reactant you're putting in there, the solid reactant, the more energy you're going to get out. So if you've got a better one, like if you've got gunpowder, obviously, it's more expensive than sugar, but it might be worth it for you to get that extra 20,000 RF. And then for the Blazing Pyrotheum, you need Cryothium Dust. Gelid Cryothium, you need Pyrotheum Dust. And then you need, for the Aerothium, you need Petrothium Dust. And for the Petrothium, you need Aerothium Dust. So it's basically just flipping between the liquid and the solid forms of those ones. So those are the more expensive ones. Each one of those pairs at the end, those four that seem a little bit out there, those are going to generate 400,000 RF. So they are way above the rest, but those are going to be sort of more late game, and we'll get into those eventually. So today what we're going to be doing is Destabilized Redstone, the easiest one, and then I have a ton of gunpowder. So we're just going to, well, this isn't really a ton, but I have a fair bit of gunpowder, and eventually I want to set up a mob farm, and we'll get witches in there, and we will get creepers, and so we should be able to automate this eventually. I might do the building off camera because I know that's not a ton of fun to watch. It's not really modded Minecraft, but we'll do that, and then we'll get this automated because it should be a relatively good power source if we can get good spawn rates. So what we can do is throw down the, oh, I should probably grab some redstone. I started moving everything inside, so it should be a little bit easier now. But we can drop the redstone in up here, and I forgot we have to reset this because I thought it was going to go on the side. And then we do need to do a little bit of a jump start for this machine. I don't have any, what are they called? Are they called capacitors? Yeah, I don't have any capacitors right now to jump start this. So what we're going to have to do is come back here, grab the cube, and this I don't think it doesn't have really any energy in there, so we got to plug it in outside. So we're going to sleep first. I know there's lights out there, but stuff spawns all around my house. It's not lit up well enough at all, and I really should light it up because I don't have a door anymore. But I'm going to plug this in down here, and everything's set on output, so we got to suck some in. I should let it charge a little bit just because we've got a lot of power that gets built up down here, and it just ends up going to waste, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, so that should be more than enough because if we really wanted to, we could make this an infinite loop over here in this area, which I probably should do just so that this can actually function. I definitely actually will have to do that, but this is filling it up right now, and we're just going to use this as an example for today. I'll probably actually have to restructure this in the base and maybe put it on like this wall over here just because this is not really a great spot to kind of like wire it into itself. So this is completely empty. So this should be making destabilized redstone. As you can see, it's lit up. It's functioning. You get per piece of redstone 100 millibuckets. So essentially, when we use the destabilized redstone with gunpowder specifically, we're going to be getting 100,000 RF, assuming we've got no augments in there, meaning that one piece of gunpowder and one piece of redstone combined will make us 100,000 RF. So if you compare that to the numismatic dynamo, that's essentially equating one piece of gunpowder and one piece of redstone to roughly one piece of iron. So it's sort of a weird conversion rate, but it comes down to what's easier for you to get. So then we've got the destabilized redstone going in here, and we can dump the gunpowder in. We could put it in over here, and it'll start functioning. I actually really like the way this green looks. I know that's a weird thing to say, but I really like the way the green looks, and as you can hear, it should be putting power into these machines. They're functioning again, so we are getting energy from this, and now we can drop our reinforced conversion kit on it to upgrade it. There we go, fully upgraded, and we can add 2 augments. It's not fully upgraded, but it's upgraded. Being the fuel catalyzer, this can go on all dynamos, and per you put whichever count you put in, you have an unlimited amount you can put in, or there's no limit, I should say. You can only have 4 because that's as many augments as you can get, but it's going to be plus 15% energy output per. So right now, instead of getting 100,000, we will get 115,000. So we'll put that on. And then the field limiter is just going to make it so that if there's no room for power over here, which will never be the case, but if by some odd chance there wasn't room for power over there, this would not be outputting it anymore. So if this stops functioning, we will not waste power, it will stop running. And that is one of the biggest problems that people have with dynamos, like the setup outside, is we're wasting a lot of possible power since there's nowhere for it to go, and it just keeps going and going and going. But that's pretty much it for setting up the Reactant Dynamo. It's nothing super crazy. Like I said, getting the actual fuel that's going to go in there, be it solid or liquid, is going to be the hardest part, especially when you get into those 400,000 per operation fuels. But we will do that later down on the down the line in the series. But I think that's going to be it for today, guys. It's pretty late here. I wanted to make sure I got a video recorded, though. I'm exhausted from finals and all that stuff, but I've missed you guys so much. I hope you are looking forward to having videos coming out, every other day. I will do my best to get that and make it happen for the entire summer. But thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you found this episode helpful, and I will talk to you later.
Upside down, faces swirling past me, all my memories rolling vastly.